Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, today we have Tyler Ashby on the line, and he's a partner over at Groundbreak Ventures. And this episode is part of our iConnections New York series, where we bring you the best of those that are attending and have attended and participated with iConnections in the past. So, Tyler, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
All right, so I'm loving today's topic. We're going to get into residential real estate technology and why it's sorely needed. I understand that you're raising a fund for early stage technologies in the residential real estate space and things like construction, home innovation, and more. So we'll get into that. But before we do, give me a little bit of the backstory. So iConnections New York, it's taking place next week. I know you're going to be there. Like, what's some of the backstory? How'd you get involved and what brought you to iConnections?
Yeah, well, we are fundraising. The macro environment has been pretty wild over the last year. So, when we were reaching out to find new areas that we hadn't necessarily looked in for potential LPs, iConnections was, right at the top of the heap. I had a conversation with the folks running the show and was really impressed at how seriously they take curating and finding LPs that are not just, engaged and do good work, but are also active and things like that. So that's really first order in terms of making efficient use of our time and ensuring that we are finding people that are going to actively engage in conversations with us. So, it's been super helpful. We're relatively new to the platform. We just joined this year. New York will be our first conference, but very excited to get on a plane from up here in Toronto and head down there next week.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so I've been covering it now. I think we're going on the second year. So it goes, time flies, and I've been pleasantly surprised. I think you're going to enjoy it, especially. They do another one in Miami that I think took place earlier in the year. I kind of crossed these up a bit, but we normally go down to that one too. So then you got now that you'll be part of the networking platform, you got an excuse to go to Miami too. So lots of things there, Tyler. No.
Yeah.
All right, so let's switching it up a bit here. Before we get into the fund and what you're doing present day, I'm just curious, how'd you get into this business? Like, where'd that start?
I actually graduated from my undergrad in 2009, which was a great year to be doing so. But graduated from engineering and entered into the construction industry. Yeah. So I spent about 10 years out in the field learning all the different roles. As I did enter in at a very tumultuous time, I did have the opportunity to kind of bounce around and learn different roles. So took all my learnings from all the different areas that I had explored and started thinking, okay, all these pieces don't go together quite as well as they probably should. I started designing some of my own software. I did my MBA and then got swept up in other people in the technology space designing things that were better than what I was designing. So got more engaged on the VC side and figuring out how to help these companies scale and grow still with a focus on the construction industry. So that got me into, the real estate side of things and helping, how real estate gets there, which is the construction process, how it's maintained, operated. So that's how I got here. It's 15, 20-year journey, and here we are.
Wonderful. And so obviously with that background in real estate and all those experiences, a lot of different routes you could have went, a lot of things you could have done. Like, talk to us about the idea behind Groundbreak Ventures and kind of how that took place.
Yeah, so Groundbreak Ventures was grown by Hopewell Group, Calgary in Canada. They're a large, multifaceted real estate firm, and the founding group there has always been very prolific in the angel investor space in that area. So, you marry those two things together, like the interest in investing and seeing around the curve, and the concerns and operations of a business in the real estate space that they wanted to have something more systematized that would set for them. So that's where Groundbreak came from. But, we started, with the penchant I have for entering into things with incredible timing, we did start the fund in 2019. So 2020 was the year after that. And, the industry transformed so incredibly over such a short
I feel like I need to
time.
ask you, Tyler, what were you doing in 2002? No. I got to have to, man. You're checking them off. Continue, please.
Yeah. But so the industry transformed quite incredibly in 2020, 2021. And, the markets kind of rose and fell so much in that time. We saw the venture markets and valuations hit astronomical highs, and then interest rates started creeping up, and then we saw them crater. So, but all the while, the residential space was a realm of prop tech, which was our focus at Groundbreak. So, prop tech being anything from construction through the useful life of any real estate asset, commercial, residential, industrial, etc. And then also on into any interesting tangents such as, logistics, hybrid work, even things like the metaverse and digital worlds and things like that. So the residential segment we found throughout this cycle was always quite underfunded or relatively underfunded in comparison to the other verticals. And we felt that, as interest rates were starting to climb in 2022 and 2023, and people were really clamoring for, better priced housing. In Canada, it was very bad, but I know all across the U.S. are facing some similar concerns, and it's only gotten worse. But, it was very clear to us that the residential segment needed more help than it was getting and more allocation of all this CC activity that was focused more on commercial and industrial and even retail. And then now it's being pulled into things like AI. It's like, well, people still need somewhere to live at the end of the day, and energy costs are going up. So, the focus on homes being more inexpensive to operate and better suit a huge number of people is the top concern for most people, more so than the AI they use at work. Like, how are they going to afford their shelter? So that just really became a very core focus. This needs to get solved, right from construction through the useful value chain. It needs to get solved for people, and there just isn't enough capital. There isn't much capital going toward the innovation of this space. And there's so much low-hanging fruit in terms of the things that can be done in order to make it better. So, technologies like prefab and modular have been around for years. They've been kind of over-promising, under-delivering. But the basic trend of that technology has come so far over the last, even 5 years that it is market-ready now. Then you add layers of AI and supportive public and private programs that can help these things come to life. And you've just got a tremendous amount of value that can be created for people and just help people live better lives while also creating very strong investor return profiles. So, we're very bullish on this segment, not just to be able to help a lot of people, but to create a lot of innovation in this space and a lot of very interesting growth and grow a lot of interesting companies. So, that took that.
Well, I'm curious, Tyler. I'm curious from your vantage point. I mean, obviously, you're looking at new technologies, you're looking at things constantly in this space. Like, what kind of impacts are you seeing, whether it's by AI or just otherwise, just in general, when it comes to innovation? Like, what kind of impacts are you seeing in this space due to the development of tech right now?
Yeah, so in the residential space, if you look at the entire value chain, right, from land selection through design and construction, financing, how the home is operated and even renovated and then bought, sold, resold. There's just so much opportunity. And how all these things happen is so complex. And people make a lot of money at every turn. So they tend to, a lot of the people in decision-making roles of these types of companies are like, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're still making enough money. We don't really need to change that. But that's changing. I think the water is rising. The economics are changing. AI is slipping in to, automate some roles. And I think there is a pressure to innovate now. And I think AI has kind of placed that pressure on people, if real or imagined. I think the fear of missing out on innovating the core business has gotten greater than the fear of the growing pains of innovating these businesses. Yeah. So it is very exciting. But so, AI writ large, since you brought it up, I think it automates the ability to kind of prototype something very quickly. But the value chains beyond that are very focused on, there's a lot of hard skills, like building a home. An AI can't build a home. You still need people to go do that. But we are seeing tremendous advances on the prefab side of things, and the growth in the mentality of what it means to be a prefab company. By prefab, I mean off-site, like building a home or a part of a home, not on-site, and leveraging more of a efficient manufacturing methodology to the home building process and interesting ways to do that. So, for example, maybe you're not building the entire home in a plant and shipping it to site on a giant flatbed. Maybe we can break it up into smaller pieces. And I really do see that the prefabability of a home is really on a sliding scale. So people buy appliances. So arguably that is a modular piece of a home. So that's on the one end of the scale. And then you can kind of slide up to okay, maybe we are doing larger components. Maybe we're doing bathroom pods, like an entire bathroom or a kitchen. And then maybe just the walls, and we can drop in just the walls and the floors and assemble part of it on site. But there's this really compelling sliding scale depending on how or what a builder is building to be able to achieve really superb speed and build cost economics, to be able to build really compelling, strong, like these homes and the products that we're seeing be created with these methodologies are indistinguishable from homes being created a traditional way. So that's
it's come so far. I watch that and I go to I'm at all these conferences and stuff like that. When I go, sometimes I see it and I'm like, wow, we're doing that now. It's like mind blown. I'm like, it changed my whole concept of what was possible.
Yeah, it's not a pecan with windows punched in the side and hardwood laid on the floor anymore. They're full homes. They are built the way people build homes, except they've had part of the design leverage a very efficient manufacturing methodology, which is put as many complicated components as you can into one piece and do it off site and then ship it to site and then build it. So, we've seen just tremendous strides. That's an area I'm very excited about. But more on the software side, at every stage of the value chain, there's interesting things going on. So around like permitting and how do we get the permitting process completed faster, and not just like faster, but better. Like how are we ensuring that they're safe, neighborhood appropriate, blah, 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 for building codes and permits, and how can we get those in people's hands faster so they can actually go out and build whatever they want to build? But how do we finance things faster? How do we give people the ability to, if they want to put a modular home in their backyard, how do they get not only the permits, but also the financing to do that? And that's those bigger picture issues some of them require some interesting, or at least create opportunities for public organizations to get involved and tremendously improve their building codes and their, neighborhood livability by offering these other things that people want. And it creates, just new opportunities all around. So, there's that. There's rent reward programs are a big thing and getting bigger. It's just such a large, complex value chain that at almost every little crack or breakdown or slowdown in that process, something is happening to make it faster and achieve better quality results. So it's a very, very exciting space, and it's a lot larger than people think.
Love it. Tyler, this has been a lot of fun having you on, man. I'm all fired up now. You got me wanting to go down the YouTube value chain of what's going on in prefab and modular. I don't want to. It'll take me the whole afternoon. I'm not doing it today, Tyler. That being said, I know you're going to be at iConnections next week, and we're putting this out pretty quickly so people can obviously connect and people connect through the app on that. But for those that are listening, I know you're in the middle of a raise and doing some other things there. How do people follow up if they want to learn more, if they want to connect and follow your journey as well?
Groundbreakventures.com. They can go there and send us an email. My email is, tashby@groundbreakventures.com if you want to email me directly. That's probably the quickest and easiest. And as Adam said, I'll be at iConnections if you want to come and say hi, but would love to chat.
Fantastic. For everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes so you can just click on the links and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. You heard me correct. Each and every day we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So hit that subscribe or follow button. And Tyler, thanks again for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. I appreciate it.